after La Giralda, a cathedral in Seville, Spain. The whole building done in a style called Spanish Revivalism. In the late 1800s and very early 1900s, American architects still hadn't quite figured out what they wanted their own aesthetic to be. So they were still looking towards older European buildings for inspiration and really copying and pasting those designs over here in America in the most American way they knew how, as quickly and as cheaply as possible. On the outside of this building are 250,000 uber delicate terracotta tiles. Terracotta is very inexpensive to manufacture. Good. It's very delicate to the touch. Bad. So the tiles there still have to be cleaned by hand with just soap and water. Sounds like a pretty thankless task. We're crossing underneath the most popular bridge in Chicago, Michigan Avenue Bridge. Nearly 40,000 people cross over this bridge every single day on average. And beyond it, we'll meet the next door neighbor to the Wrigley Building, Trump International Hotel and Tower. Look all the way up. You'll see it's got 1, 2, 3 different setbacks or patio terraces that are meant to mimic the heights of other buildings in this neighborhood. The shortest setback on the right is the same height as the roof of the Wrigley Building that we just passed. The middle setback on the left mimics the height of the Jewelers Building with its ornate dome across the river on the left-hand side. And the third tallest setback, also on the right, is the same height as the AMA Medical Plaza. That's the black box building behind Trump Tower. We're slowly seeing it creep into view right now. But this is our first example of an architectural style we'll see quite a bit of today called contextualism. Site-specific designs that flatter the overall context. So the architect here, he's not just plopping some random looking building down wherever. In his design, he's taking into account everything that's happening in this neighborhood, not only in the natural environment, but the other buildings in this neighborhood as well. The lead architect on that project was a guy called Adrian Smith, the world's tallest architect.
I'm in Chicago.
And I don't call him that because he was tall. He really wasn't. I call him that because he has designed some of the world's tallest buildings, including the current world's tallest, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It's very similar to Trump Tower, but it is about twice as tall. Staying on the right-hand side is one of the iconic twin corn-cob-shaped towers at Marina City. In the 50s and 60s, this area of the river was very commercial. Hardly anyone lived downtown. And architect Bertrand Goldberg wanted to make it easier for people to do so. So he designed Marina City to have everything you would need in one place. The very top floors are pie slice. They're petal-shaped apartments. They start really small by the door, and then they get wider as you go out. Below that, a couple different levels of valet parking for your car. Then a complex with some restaurants, some retail opportunities. The House of Blues is downstairs. There's a bowling alley down there. And of course, the number one thing that I look for whenever I'm apartment hunting, a place to park my luxury yacht all the way down at the very bottom. If you're a fan of rock and roll music, you might recognize Marina City from the cover of the classic Wilco album, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. And this is an older building that is looking towards the future. On our left-hand side, I'm going to point out a newer building that's looking towards the past. 77 West Wacker. Super reflective glass that leads to that Greek temple shape all the way up at the very top. 77 West Wacker is done in a style called neoclassical. Neo meaning new, and classical meaning classical. Or old. And all that means is that the architect here was also looking towards the past, but in this case, ancient Greece for inspiration for his design. He's really clarifying it, making it more contemporary. We often call this building the Parthenon on steroids. It's got this bulked up, kind of futuristic look. Fun fact about Ricardo Bofill, the Spanish architect of 77 West Wacker. When he designed his first building, he was actually only 17 years old, which I find personally offensive. I don't know what you guys were doing at the age of 17, but I was not designing buildings, okay? Now this whole area, right up against the water, on our left-hand side, is an area of the city called the Riverwalk. It's 1.3 miles and growing. We are the show. The idea for the Riverwalk was proposed to the city as early as 1909. This is a big year in Chicago's development, but it did take the city over 100 years to finally get around to building it. And when they did, it cost over $112 million. So while you're in town, come hang out on the Riverwalk. How else for the city of Spencer? Next up, we're going to cross underneath the Double River Wells Street Bridge. We can see the L train paused on the tracks over top. The train in Chicago is referred to as the L because most of the platforms are elevated up off of the ground. Don't be afraid of the train while you're here. It's so affordable. It'll take you pretty much anywhere you want to go. It's a really great kind of feature of our city. Wells Street Bridge is a great example of a trunnion bascule style bridge. That's a French phrase that really translates to mean seesaw and helps describe the way the mechanisms inside the bridge work to help them raise and lower whenever any tall mast ships have to pass through. A bridge like this is actually powered with a motor that has the same amount of horsepower as a 1950s VW Beetle. On the right-hand side, the Art Deco behemoth, the Merchandise Mart. Art Deco style architecture is characterized by deep inset windows, long vertical lines, repeating geometric patterns, and metal finishings on the outside. Here at the Merchandise Mart, we've even got this row of gigantic Pez dispenser heads, which is what I wish they were. There's no candy involved. They are busts of the titans of industry of Chicago's history, including figures like Montgomery Ward, who we'll talk about a little bit later, and Marshall Field, the department store. We're leaving this one behind us already, but we're going to come back here and we'll get a better view of it. We'll be able to talk about it for a little while longer. It is important to know that Art Deco started here in America during a time of decadent excess and wealth. Keep that in mind. For now, we've crossed into an area of the river called Wolf Point, where all three branches of the river meet in the middle. I want to introduce you to the Nuveen building, directly to our left. Contextual style architecture. That curve along the front highlights the curve of the river just below it. Completed in 1983 and then featured only 2 years later in the 1985 classic Chicago film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That is the building where Ferris's dad works. Now, they filmed his scenes on location. He's working in this building. He looks down through the window so you can see the parade going by on the street below. The parade was filmed on State Street, which is not visible from any window at the Nuveen building. So they had to kind of mash those two things together. More contextual style architecture at River Point. Parabolic arches cut on the top and on the bottom. That arch along the bottom pushes the foundations of the building down so that it doesn't get tangled up with the Metra and Amtrak train lines that were here first. But listen, I don't care about that. Doesn't it look like a gigantic hot pocket?
Thank you.
Right? I might can be the only hungry person on the floor right now.
I'm always hungry.
And speaking of being hungry, I can guarantee you, every building we've seen so far, every building we're going to see is 100% vegetarian and vegan, except for Fulton House, this red brick square building just directly in front of the boat. Fulton House is the oldest building we'll see on the river today, built in 1898 to be the cold storage facility for a meat processing company. The whole building worked basically like a giant freezer. No windows, no balconies, solid brick on all four sides. In 1971, this building went from that kind of cold storage system and was renovated into some very nice and actually surprisingly affordable apartments. But before they did that, they had to wait 6 whole months just to allow the building to defrost. It was basically a giant block of ice. And when they went inside, they were cut through 4-foot thick walls stuffed full of matted horsehair and cork. It's been used as insulation to help keep them in the cold. So that's been vegetarian, but that's okay. We're going to cross underneath the now decommissioned Carroll Avenue Railroad Bridge. This bridge is always stored in the upright position. It only goes down and up bridge stayed in active status. Directly to our left, the triangularly shaped river cottages, designed by architect Harry Weese in 1988. Harry Weese loved triangles because he thought they mimic the shape of the sail of the boat. I love the river cottages. I think they got this really cutie, kind of bohemian look to them, even though the average price for a unit there is neither cutie nor bohemian at all. In fact, the last time one of those units sold was in 2015, and it sold for $2.25 million, which is not even anywhere near the most egregious number that we will hear on our tour today.
Be quiet.
Now, Captain John's brought us to the north branch of the river. He's going to turn this boat around in just a second, and we're going to start to head down the south branch, see what's happening down there. I'm going to hop off the mic for a few short minutes, give you a chance to use the restroom or get a drink. I'll make my way to the back of the boat, see if anyone has any questions so far. So let me know if you need anything, and we'll be back on our cruise in just a few short minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Moving to Chicago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can move.
You like it so far?
Yeah, I did.
You studying in Northwestern? Yeah. University of Chicago?
Loyola.
Your dress is so cute. How we feeling back here, you guys?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Cool, good. Feeling good? Feeling
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get another stream going later. Peace out.